meeting of the Starkville Board of Aldermen will now come to order. Please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance, after which Alderman Vaughn would like to yield to Pastor Barnes to lead us in a word of prayer, and we will observe a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we bow our heads? Dear wise and loving Father, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, and for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, I pray for our aldermen, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confident in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace, and all of our lives enjoy in the task. I pray for the agenda that is set before us this evening. Please give us an assurance of what you would please, that would please you, and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city. This is our prayer, for it's in the blessed name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. And all the people of God said, amen. Amen.
You have before you a copy of the written agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda as written? Are there any proposed changes to the agenda as written? Any proposed changes? Any proposed changes? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda is in order. Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve the agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The first matter of business you have before you is consideration of the minutes from August 2nd, 2016.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve of the minutes of the August 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, incorporating any and all changes as recommended by the City Attorney, otherwise as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. We'll now move to announcements and comments by the mayor and members of the board. And first, it looks like we've got a Boy Scout troop here today. Could you all please stand, and could somebody from your group introduce you, please?
We are Boy Scouts from Troop 27, Starkville, Mississippi. This is Sydney. This is Paul. That is Thomas. I'm Travis.
Well, thank you for being here, and welcome to the wide world of city government. Next, scheduling announcement. This board, to stay on the budget calendar, will recess this meeting until next week, September 13th, which means we'll have a conflict with our planning and zoning calendar. They would ordinarily be in here for a meeting. Planning and zoning next week will meet upstairs in the large conference room, since the board will be meeting here. Those two meetings will both be taking place at 5:30 on Tuesday, September 13th. And that concludes my announcements and comments tonight. Are there any announcements or comments by the members of the board? Alderman Nguyen.
Mr. Herman Peters, will you please come forward? Good evening, Mr. Peters. Sometimes we need to hear some polite things that people say about us. And on Friday, I went to the bookmark, purchased a pillow, got to talking to the clerk, and we ended up taking a picture. And a lady was visiting our town from Como, Mississippi. And I left out of the store and didn't think anything about it. And someone ran out of the store and says, Alderman, Alderman. Well, I didn't know her and never seen her. So she shared with me how she found out that I was an alderman from the city, because she asked me, who was she for you all to want to take a picture with? She shared with me this summer about all of the tournaments that she and her family had came up here, and she told me that she comes in her RV. She talked about the shopping experience, and she talked about how much that they enjoyed our city and how they were coming up here because as a result of those tournaments, because two of the grandchildren were playing in those tournaments. And she talked about how she had been spending money and shared with me some of the restaurants that she had gone to. I want to say thank you so much for those tournaments that you brought here, because she was like the fifth person to say something to me about that. I shared with our board members a couple of weeks ago how Mr. Bart Wood shared with me how I'd made some money over there for Little Doers because they were all coming over there. I just want to say so much that I thank you for your service. Back in July on the 26th, when we had the comprehensive planning meeting, I said some kind pleasantries about you, and then the mayor rallied to my side to speak some favorable pleasantries towards you. And I just wanted you to have a tape of that meeting. Will you step forward and get it for me, please? Mr. Peters, thank you so much for the work that you do at the Sportsplex. And I've even heard how you help our little boys that are down there when they get out of school, because they really don't have anywhere else to go. And I've also heard that sometimes they don't have any money, and that you help out, and you've gotten other people to help you. Mr. Peters, those are things that as board members, we don't know unless someone tells us. I just want to say thank you so much for your service. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. I yield the floor at this time.
Any further comments by the members of the board? Are there any further comments by the members of the board? Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll move to citizen comments. At this time, any citizen wishing to make comments may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Good evening to the mayor and board. My name is Al, Town Ward 7. I want to recognize the mayor, their wives, and the board, the vice mayor Perkins,
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
our Alderman Vaughn, Alderman Walker,
Thank you, Allen.
our NACP president Chris Taylor, the vice president myself. The citizens is very upset. Very upset. But first, we have a situation at Louisville Street and Wood Street. We tried to fix the house and tried to fix it, but the land order shut us down. The buses, the cars have to back up and let the buses leave. That's very dangerous, death trap. The place over across from the Riverfront Bank also is very complicated, very hard on people. The situation that people are very disturbed and upset about is the way that the department heads are treated. They don't have to be treated the way they've been treated. They put their life on the line, they put their heart and soul in. They need to be respected as men and women because while we sleep, they work. And that is some strong concerns of the public that let us treat our people the way that we would like to be treated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Do we have any further citizen comments?
Good evening. My name is Sandra Ware, and I live on Fan Road, and I have some concerns. I have tried I'm in Ward 3. I have tried to contact my ward several times about some problems going on. Last year, we had a lot of problems with our garbage not being picked up. Kept back and forth, couldn't get no one. So at this point, we're having a lot of problems with people like racing down our road on Sand Road. The speed is bad down there. They don't consider, if you're coming out of Sand Hill and Sand Arm, it's bad. I mean, it's really bad, and we need to, it's getting out of control down there. It's really getting out of control, and I'm really concerned that somebody's gonna get serious hurt or someone's gonna get killed on that road.
Who'd you contact? Did you contact sanitation department on that issue?
I contact sanitation. I have also tried to contact you. You have not returned my call.
What number did you call? Because I've got a city number and
I have the city number, and that's the number I've been calling.
I haven't had a voicemail. When did you call?
Been several times I have called.
What's your phone number? Because I'll be glad to look back.
662-769-6252. Last year I called you several times. I even called Ward 2, thinking that she was our ward. After they called to the city and they told me I couldn't get you. That's when I called Ward 2, and then she told me, no, you called the right person. You need to call them back. And I have called several times, but that is very dangerous of those cars down that road, and somebody's gonna get serious hurt down that road.
The chief's going to address that from a law enforcement standpoint, but I can assure you if I have any messages, that's one thing I do is return my calls.
I called you
Thank
several
you.
times last year about our garbage that hadn't been picked up in like a week.
Thank you, Ms. Ware. And we'll have a discussion about the speeding issues at our staff meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Any further citizen comments?
Good afternoon, Mayor. Evening, Mayor, board members. My name is Chris Taylor, President of Tuckahoe County NAACP. I got a couple of complaints. Well, not really complaints. I want to echo what Alderman Wynn said about Herman Peters. Now, that man been operating down there with a very short staff. I know because I was on the board for 5 years. And that staff, I don't know how you do it, but he does it. He'll not let the city down. So y'all need to think about that. Whenever you do anything, like Alderman Wynn say, praise the man. Give him some people. Give him some more. Next thing, you all get to the point where it used to be 4 school board members. Now you're going to get to point 3. When you make a decision next year or whoever in those spots, make the right decision. Someone who will stand up for the citizen. Because what's going on now, I don't think the 5 school board members are doing what they should be doing. Leadership does not get convicted of a crime and still be in a leadership position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Further citizen comments? Dr. Prince was behind you. Dr. Prince, I believe she's yielding to you.
Good evening, I'm Mayor, Board of Aldermen. My name is Deborah Prince, and I'm here tonight to ask you to please consider the readdressing concern at least 3 times. First responders have had a very difficult time finding our house. Our address is 1575 Rock Hill Road, but we actually live on Geechee Road. And when first responders try to locate us, they have a difficult time on at least 3 occasions. So I'm asking you to please to consider the request to change our addresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prince. Ms. Isaac?
Sorry, I'm a little slow. I have to go around now, a little slower. I appreciate it. Good evening to everybody here I haven't spoken to. And, oh, they can't hear me? I thought I had one of the best voices in the world. Well, good evening again, like I said to everybody. I just like to say hi to everybody. I'm not going to use no names because everybody know who we are up here. They know you the mayor, they know vice mayor, they know the aldermen. If they don't, they ought to be up here more often. But I would just like to say, sometimes we have to give away to certain things and we have to talk about it. I saw where it had for the tax increase for Mississippi State students. You know, it had this little break-in right here. I'm not against the students because I was once a student. But look like we need to do something here in our city, you know, with tax money. I know they got restaurants out there too. I don't know what they do with their taxes. I'm trying to figure it out. I just, you know, want to answer and do that things the right way. But if we're gonna pay taxes to them, we need taxes for our park. And me and Harmon, he done got a little slower. But I can tell y'all the glory stories that people call me because they still think I'm on the board. You know, still think we got a board. And I call him and, you know, let him know that we appreciate what he's doing. And I know y'all appreciate what he's doing for the city of Starkville. But I would just like to know, you know, they got approval for, and I know they got some people that are here. But when I go out there and buy a football ticket, I'm Illuminati still, but I have to pay the full price. I have to pay the full price, I have to pay the taxes, I have to go out there, my daddy worked out there for numerous years, everybody knows it. And if he want a football ticket, he got to pay for it. So I would just like to say, we got children over here on West Side. I don't have to tell y'all. They don't have ways to go out to these ball games. They don't have ways to go over to the sports place. Let's work on West Side Park, getting our children. If we would get our children something to do over there on West Side Park. Harmon is always trying to do something. Mr. Henry is always trying to do something. Aldermen is always trying to do something. We need some help over there. Tax money should be going over here to help them. Again, we ain't got the market. We ain't got anything over on that side of town. Let's work, okay? The election day coming. I'm in a wheelchair, but I can tell you I can get around. I can get around, you know. The election day coming, I ain't trying to scare nobody. You know, I'm not trying to scare nobody, but y'all set my period up. I'm going back to the seat. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac.
Mayor, may I be recognized?
You may.
There was an article in the paper that addressed, I think, that the city gives the university a significant amount of money. The reality is that was the 2% money is 2% of all the restaurant, food, and beverage tax. That was that was passed by the legislature 24 years ago, and the percentage of those is not changed. Parks and Recreation gets 40%, and the other 60% is divided up between the city, the university, and the partnership. So it's not the city giving the university money, it's an act from the legislature that allocates where that money goes. And we are all very, very grateful for that money. Parks and Rec especially, because they get the largest percentage of that, and that's how they continue to operate and do what they do. So thank you, Ms. Isaac, for pointing that out as well.
Any further citizen comments? Are there any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Seeing none, we'll move to public appearances. We have 2 public appearances scheduled tonight. The first is by Student Association officers and Dr. Regina Hyatt to present the 2% budget.
Good evening, Mayor, Aldermen, and Alderwoman Nguyen. We are grateful to be here tonight to again present the 2% tax allocation proposal. Roxy is going to do the bulk of the presentation, but wanted just to provide a little bit of context As many of you know, this fall at Mississippi State, we saw a record enrollment, both of first-year students and returning students. And the students that we have in our community certainly provide a significant portion of our tax revenue in terms of their dining and purchase of items within our community. But most importantly, Mississippi State and Starkville are a symbiotic relationship. We work very closely with one another to ensure that our students are good citizens of this community through their contributions and service activities and community engagement programs, and also that we're doing our part to ensure that Starkville's economy is strong. And we use these resources to the best advantage for both parts of that partnership, our students and the Starkville community. And all of the projects that we are presenting before you tonight have a tie with both our students and the Starkville community. So Roxy's going to talk a little bit about those, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have tonight.
Well, I'll just start too by going through kind of the proposed distribution for the fiscal year 2017 and speaking on some of the ties that Dr. Hyatt mentioned that us students are looking to make within the community and how that money, the philosophies behind where that's allocated to. So for example, I'll start with our student association money that directly we'll be using and then kind of move our way outward. So for the first thing I'd like to talk about would be the Cowbell Cab / night route. A lot of people know, or in the town know it more as the night route, but back in 2014, with kind of a decreased ridership in the night route, we wanted to make sure we were using the tax money as efficiently as possible. So that's what moved us into the Cowbell Cab system. So if you look at the money that we use on that cab system from 2012 to our current projection, and we went from $65,000 to $20,000. And with that, we've seen an increase in ridership as well by using a service that's more applicable for student needs, as well as using that money more efficiently. So we've actually had about 500% increase each semester over the past couple of years in Cowbell Cabs, and it's going to continue to grow even more. We have not marketed it at all, and it's seen that growth. So this year we've put in some of this money as well into marketing and hoping to continue that growth and use of that money out the best way possible. And the great thing about the Cowbell Cabs is it allows students to go into the nightlife into the Cotton District downtown, enjoy those activities, and safely get home. And that it keeps Starkville Street safer, it keeps other citizens safer, but also gets our students home safe, not just by keeping them from making poor decisions, but also making sure that they are getting the best ride home that they possibly can, not having to rely on strangers, etc. And so with that, we've actually talked with some of our on-campus police, and they've seen with the increase of this program and its use, the decrease of students that they feel are making poor choices, and that's really exciting. Moving on from Cowbell Cabs, we'll talk about Bulldog Bash too. So we obviously, a big portion of what we get from the 2% money goes to Bulldog Bash, and we're working really hard with the city. We're thankful that y'all have been such great partners over the past year, and obviously I think everyone understands that the economic success that this brings to the Cotton District and as well as the areas around it, brings the people in for the weekend and getting hotel rooms, and that they're here for the whole weekend, not just for the football game, but maybe for the concert as well. That means they're going to be eating out more. So definitely see that this has a big ripple effect in the city. We want to continue to try to keep it in the city as much as we can. And then also moving from that, we'll talk about our global lecture series, which is something that's really exciting in our RSA, really passionate about. It brings a world-renowned activist, just someone who embodies what it means to be a global leader to campus. And so in the past we've had, our most recent speaker was Buzz Aldrin, who was one of the first men on the moon. And we've had people like Mitt Romney come from this money, and just alone that enriches our student life experience so much. It helps our students become better citizens, helps them learn more global perspectives since global lecture series, but it also can be some really great press for Starkville as well. So back when Mitt Romney came in, you had people from national media outlets coming to Starkville covering Mitt Romney's presence and Buzz Aldrin's presence, and giving a Starkville that exposure, how wonderful a college town is, and how the opportunities that it provides our students through this money. And then moving on from the global lecture series, Some of our other money goes to programming, and which is really what's essential to keeping campus active and alive and bringing students to campus from all over the country, bringing more and more out-of-state students every year, and then that just makes them want to come fall in love with Starkville and stay in Starkville. I don't know anyone who is in love with Starkville from out of state once they come here, and that's really awesome. But these programs, not only do they help keep bringing people here in Starkville, they also help us realize kind of the greater issues of our time. So we'll have programs where we speak on very important topics such as, public health concerns, diversity and racial tensions. These are not just programs where we provide a free movie. They are programs that really enrich our culture and our students' lives for them to come back and be better citizens in Starkville and wherever else they may live in the future. And then moving on from that, we also have, so I think that covers it for, last is not, okay, I'll move on. That's all our essay stuff. So that's all the things that I directly have control over in budgeting, picking speakers, etc. And that's really an honor for me to try to use that money wisely and responsibly. But some of the other issues we're going to be using 2% money for are our music maker productions. And so they put on concerts that obviously helps produce more in revenue for Starkville, just like Bulldog Bash does. And then also, again, similar to Music Maker Productions is the only music festival similar to Bulldog Bash, and that it's bringing in those local artists and producing a concert culture here in Mississippi, and live music is really enriching not just for our students, but for everyone in Starkville, because those events are able to people in Starkville. We really want to provide for the whole city and kind of give them something different than they've ever had before. And then the last two things I'll talk about are, last thing I'll talk about is the Lights Up series, which is another particular favorite of mine. That brings in different national touring acts all across America and even globally. We'll have global ballets and global musical acts come in and plays, dramatic plays come in. And that, again, enriches our culture for our students, but also faculty and staff and citizens of Starkville. Many citizens of Starkville come to the light scene shows and enjoy what we have. We have a great lineup offered too, so I really encourage you to check that out. But definitely each of these things that are proposed for the beverage and sales tax allocation have a direct tie into enriching the culture of Starkville, bringing students in, promoting economic development, and we just really want to continue to do our part because Starkville provides such wonderful homes for us. And I have lived here for 17 years now, and I can definitely attest to that there is no place like Starkville. And so I really appreciate y'all's investment in us, and I know it's a very unique partnership. Other state governments do not have this blessing, and we do not take it lightly, for sure.
Questions or comments for Dr. Hyatt and Ms. Raven? Alderman Perkins.
Thank you. Dr. Hyatt, very briefly, we certainly appreciate what you and the university are doing, and this mayor and board has done everything that we can to partner with the Student Association University. And just to follow up on Ms. Isaac's comments and the budget chairman, this city is shown genuine interest in the university, in that this city donates, contributes 1/5 of the 2% monies to the Student Association, being 20%. Like the budget share says, that 40% goes to the parks, 20% goes to you, and 10% goes to the City for Economic Development, and 30% is divided up. 15% go to the Visiting Conventions Council, and 15% to the Octavia County Economic Development. The reason I said all that to say this is the point I want to make. There's been a lot of discussion this year to keep the Bulldog Bash into our corporate limits, and we certainly very clearly, unequivocally support your university without any doubt, and that 20% translates into thousands of dollars. So Dr. Hyde, just getting straight to the point here, would you have any objection, and certainly the city attorney has read this legislation very closely and does not see any objection to what I'm about to ask you. Do you have any objection if this budget is approved by this board tonight, expressly conditioned upon the fact that the Bulldog Bash shall remain within the corporate limits of Starkville in 2017? Do you have any problem with that?
Alderman Perkins, we have every intention that the Bulldog Bash would happen in the city limits of Starkville next year, and so we certainly would not wish to hold up this legislation by indicating otherwise. So it's always our intention to have Bulldog Bash in Starkville, And we, only condition that we place on that is the continuing cooperation that the city has shown to us this year. The police department, the public works, mayor, everyone has gotten on board this year to facilitate our presence in the city.
And my final question is, so, to be clear, don't want to kill any time, be clear, would you prefer, do you have any objection to a motion with that condition, or are you verbally representing to this mayor and board and to the citizens of Starkville that without an amendment, that Mississippi State University Student Association is going to have the Bulldog Bash in the corporate limits of Starkville in 2017, so we'll have to have the discussion with the mayor, the partnership. And, you know, we have an obligation. We appreciate you, so would you prefer a motion without the condition? I'm just being straight, whatever you want to do. Or
Regretfully, I don't think Roxy is in the position to say, on behalf of the student association that would happen. What I can state for you is our very positive and supportive intention that we will be in the city of Starkville next year.
Okay, well, in closing, not taking any more time, so I'm not going to offer that condition, but I'm going to take you at face value.
Absolutely.
Your word is your bond, so hopefully come this time in the summer or next year, the mayor, the gentleman from the affected district, no other alderman, the budget chair, nor any citizen, nor the partnership. We're going to have this on record. We'll be able to pull this film back to say that you and your staff are committed unequivocally, without any reservation, without any doubt. And we appreciate that. And that's the only reason I got involved in this conversation. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. And thank you all for what you do, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we appreciate the support of the city and all of its related entities. Our intention is to be the best partners that we can be to the city of Starkville, and likewise, we know of your commitment to Mississippi State. So thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening.
Alderman Nguyen.
Good evening, Dr. Hyatt and Ms. Rader. Just for the record, I'm going to read this information to the public because we have this in our packets and they may not see it. And this is Mississippi State University proposed distribution of 2017 food and beverage sales tax allocation. And this is the little graph that is here.
Perfect.
Distribution proposed 2016, music maker production $150,000, Bulldog Bash $145,000, Cowbell Caps $20,000, Old Main Music Festival $30,000, and Lyceum Series $60,000, Global Lecture Series $20,000. That bring it to a total of $425,000. I just wanted the public to have this information because this was in our board packets. May I yield the floor at this time?
Further questions or comments from the members of the board? Are there any further questions or comments from the members of the board? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Hyatt and Ms. Raven. The next public appearance is by Dr. Steve Damaris, the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Aquaculture at Mississippi State University on a proposed deer management study. Dr. Damaris.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My class this semester is proposing to work with the board and the elected people of Starkville to develop what we would call a white paper on how deer might be managed in the city going forward. We propose a four-step process. The first step, and I believe this is in your e-packet, first step would be identifying the management goals for Starkville relative to deer. What do the people of the city want from the deer population that exists here now? And that would be in probably a two-step process where we interview the elected officials and then seek some public input so that we can have all the citizens provide input on management goals for deer. Secondly, we want to identify where deer exists currently in the city of Starkville. That would be based on a habitat evaluation of aerial photography, and then a method of identifying where deer are seen in the city, and we would propose to perhaps interview police department officers that are on patrol throughout the city and find out where they see deer as one mechanism of identifying where they are. Third step would be identifying the problems, the conflicts that exist currently, if they do exist in the city. Two areas of conflict are deer vehicle collisions, and the second would be damage to landscape plants and gardens. And so we would propose to identify deer vehicle collision areas based on perhaps police reports, perhaps if there's records from the Environmental Services Department as to where they might be picking up dead deer, identify where accidents are happening, and then try to find out where people are having problems with their landscape and gardens. And through this process, we would identify areas of concern where there may be conflicts. And then lastly, the fourth step would be identify a list of potential options available to cities based on the laws and regulations of the state of Mississippi. And along with these options, we would collect as much information as available to provide you with what would each of those options look like in action and what they might cost. And then present it to the board at the end of the semester and let the board and mayor act on it accordingly.
Thank you, Dr. Damaris. Any questions or comments for Dr. Damaris from the members of the board? Alderman Maynard.
I appreciate you volunteering the class to do this. My pansies will appreciate it this winter because the deer seem to really love those every year. So, but I think we do have, there are pockets certainly of significant infiltration of deer. I know I'm on the north side of town. North side of town is pretty populated, but there's several mornings, especially in the fall and winter, that I'll see deer every morning going to work out, and it's, they're just there. They're kind of hidden in pockets of small but dense foliage, and so I appreciate you doing this so we can get a better picture of what we have.
Further questions or comments from the members? Alderman Little.
I also appreciate you stepping up to do this. They're pretty prevalent on South Montgomery. I can take you and show you exactly where they cross at certain times of the year, fall and winter, and have several collisions down that way and routinely dead deer on the side of the road. So I'd be glad to assist any way we can.
Alderman Wynn.
Mayor, Dr. Demarius, thank you so much for finally coming to our board meeting. I invited you several times to just come and sit in on our meeting. So thank you for finally coming by tonight. Thank you.
Are there any further questions or comments by the members of the board? Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Damaris. The next matter before you is a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2017 budget and proposed tax levies for the city of Starkville. Alderman Maynard, would you like to introduce?
Yes, Mayor. One of the things I want to start out with, one of the questions that I got today concerning the new budget, and that was the increase in debt service and where that was going. As you've read the paper today, you probably recognize a little bit of that, but I do want to take a moment to outline where your tax dollars are going this fiscal year coming up. The total debt service increased from a budgeted amount of $1.552 million this past year to $2.768 million this coming year. Those items will be expended on the following. The City Hall, the principal for the City Hall building that we're in now will be $320,000 this year. The 2016 $3 million police bonds that we will vote on later today, there'll be a $110,000 payment on those this year. There's a second police bond issue of $2.4 million. There'll be an $85,000 payment due this year. We have a 2016 TIF for the Nicholas property, which is the cotton mill property. Principal on that will be $90,000 this year. There's a Middleton Court principal TIF of $34,000 this year. There's a street loan principal of $640,000 due this year. We're holding in reserve $150,000 for future TIFs that may come in this year, just as an earmark for that. Interest on the Middleton project is $17,000. Interest on the Cotton Mill project is $56,700. Interest on the two police stations combined is $50,000. The City Hall project interest is $230,000. Street loan interest is $65,000. Bond fees $8,000. And then we have the issuance of the other bonds for the industrial park that was voted on. The principal and interest payments on those for this coming year are estimated at $175,000. And city clerk, that is just a partial payment of what will be due in the future. Is that correct? So that will actually, going into the 17-18 year budget, that full amount will be projected there. The industrial bonds payment this year will be $500,000 for principal, $125,000 for interest. The $100,000 and $75,000 is the $2.7 million GO bond that we also have out. And then we have a Eurocopter project that's $10,900. That adds up to $2,768,000. So Mayor, with that, the projected taxes assessed for this year for real property will be $182,000, personal property $27,000, autos $24,000, public utilities $1,800, mobile homes, let me back up. Real property will be $182 million. Personal property $27,800,000, autos $24,200,000, public utilities $1,800,000, rounding these numbers off. Mobile homes $205,000 for a subtotal of $236 million. There'll be additional special real property collected of $2,300,000 and special collection personal property $466,000 for a total projected collection of $239 million. City clerk, that's correct. Yes, and those are the assessed values. So with that, the city of Starkville is now operating with a projected total budget revenue of $19,231 or 25.45%, which would be $4,840,000 of such revenue obtained through ad valorem taxes. For the next fiscal year, the projected budget revenue of $20,045,723. Of that amount, 29.2% or $5,870,000 is proposed to be financed through ad valorem tax. For the next fiscal year, the city millage will go from 21.98 mills to 25.58 mills. The 3.6 mills are designated for bonds passed by the city in the fiscal year 2016. Mayor, with that, I open the floor up for questions.
At this time, anyone wishing to make comments on the proposed budget and millage rate may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone now wishing to speak? Seeing no one, Alderman Maynard, do you have any concluding comments?
No, sir, Mayor. Thank you.
Are there any concluding comments from the members of the board? Any concluding comments? Any concluding comments? Seeing none, that will conclude this public hearing on the fiscal year 2017 budget and proposed tax levies for the city of Starkville. The next matter you have before you is the consideration of approval of the MSU Student
Move
Association.
approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve of the MSU Student Association FY17 2% budget as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is motion has been made by Alderman Carver to To approve of the completion of a deer management study for the city of Starkville by Dr. Damaris Wildlife Management class as presented. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter you have before you is the consideration of approval of a resolution directing the sale of your $3 million bond issuance for the police station. And Alderman Maynard has the bid tabulations for the financing.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move approval of this resolution and award this to Raymond James. Bonds were opened today. This one at 4 o'clock. Raymond James came in with the low interest rate of 2.026 for the amount of $3 million.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of a resolution directing Raymond James. Demery, these are bids, aren't they? Directing Raymond James, the low bidder, approval of a resolution directing Raymond James, the low bidder, for the sale and award of general obligation public improvement bonds, Series 2016A of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, in the principal amount of $3 million as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
At the interest rate of 2.026.
At the interest rate of 2.026, otherwise as stated. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Alderman Maynard, would you like to introduce the bid tabulations on the $2.4 million issue?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move approval of a resolution directing the sale and award of general obligation bond series 2016B in the amount of $2,400,000 to Raymond James at an interest rate of 2.108.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of a resolution directing the sale and award of general obligation public improvement bond, Series 2016B of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, in the principal amount of $2,400,000 to Raymond James with an interest rate of 2.108% as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Yes, sir. I'm glad these are done. It's been a long time coming to get these done and get the police in a new building, so I'm glad we're able to do those.
And that is an outstanding interest rate. Market conditions certainly shape those rates, but want to tip my hat to our financial advisor, Demery Grubbs, who's here tonight on a 20-year general obligation bond. I never thought I would see an interest rate that low, so thank you. Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 6 in favor with 1 against, this motion passes. And I have little casting the dissenting vote. The next matter before you is the consideration of a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen determining the necessity and invoking the authority granted to municipalities to issue tax increment financing. This will be your resolution where you set an amount, the percentages of pledged future taxes on the Walmart neighborhood market development. You will hold your public hearing should you choose to go forward at a future board meeting and actually adopt a TIF plan and TIF agreement. Christiana Sugg is here on behalf of Guris and Associates. Ms. Sugg, would you like to present the request?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm Christiana Sugg on behalf of Guris and Associates. I was able to speak with most of you. I apologize we weren't able to connect.
That's okay.
I'm here on behalf of the Walmart Neighborhood Market. We are very excited about this project, and we would like for the board to consider setting a public hearing. I believe y'all will have another meeting at the end of September, is that correct? Due to publication timings, if y'all could set the public hearing for that date to consider approval of this TIF plan. It's a $12 million.
And that meeting will be the 20th. Does that give you the publication time that you
Yes,
need?
sir, it will.
That's a resolution.
This is a large project. It's a $14 million project. It's gonna create about 90 jobs with a $2 million annual payroll. Specifically, Walmart is asking for assistance to help construct a road and signalization on Highway 12. The road will be dedicated to the public. The request is just to be made whole after the road has been built and bonds have been issued. They're not asking for assistance with parking or anything like that. It's simply for the road and signalization. And I believe there may be some water lines. It's a suicide lane. I hate that term, but with the turn lane in the middle and some landscaping on the side. We would appreciate your support and consideration in setting a public hearing.
Questions or comments for Ms. Sugg?
It's, just to be clear, it's a 3-lane road with a turn lane in the middle.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Going
sir.
down the length of the property that Walmart has.
That's right. This piece of property that's gonna be owned by Walmart, if we receive the requested assistance, will be about 7.5 acres. It's part of a larger 33-acre tract. This road will run to the west, I believe, of the Walmart parcel. The developer who owns the rest of the property currently has plans to finish the road out, but I don't have copies of the plans. It's still in the planning stage right now.
Mayor, I move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Starkville determining the necessity for and invoking the authority granted to municipalities by the legislature with respect to tax increment financing as set forth in Chapter 45 of Title 21 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended, determining that the Starkville Neighborhood Market Project is a project eligible for tax increment financing, that a public hearing be conducted in connection with the tax increment financing plan and for related purposes as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits? Discussion. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Saying none, all those in favor of Alderman Maynard's motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, by a vote of 6 in favor with 1 against, this motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Sutton.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The next matter you have before you is the consideration of a resolution approving a Regional Economic Development Act Alliance Agreement. This is the same process that you went through in our previous attempt to build an industrial park. It will provide a way for the city and the county to participate seamlessly on building what is a $14 million park. We have talked a lot about our obligation being $7 million on the $14 million park. Well, once this becomes an operation of building something, it's much easier if we don't have 2 distinct $7 million budgets. And there's also some limitations that are greater on what cities can do to build industrial parks than what counties are able to do. So by naming this Regional Economic Development Board, which will be a part of OCEDA, I think, and this is the way it was last time, it will probably end up being the same board members who are on the OCEDA board, which those are a representative of each of the 5 supervisor districts and then the mayors of the 3 incorporated cities within Oktibbeha County. By doing this, that board will be able to direct the expenditure of those funds in a manner that will seamlessly allow us to build a park. It's not impossible to do so if we maintain our $7 million and the county maintains their $7 million, but it's much, much more cumbersome and where speed is very important, and every day that we go, where we have an investment in and we have no new industrial properties out there, then we are losing opportunity and money. So I recommend this as the expedient and efficient path to get the park.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve of a resolution creating a region, or to approve a resolution approving a Regional Economic Development Act Alliance Agreement, a Regional Economic Development Act application to the Mississippi Development Authority and certain professional service providers in connection with the development of a new industrial and technology park and related matters as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Second. Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 6 in favor and 1 against, and I have Perkins as the dissenting vote, this motion passes. The next matter you have before you is the consideration of a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, regarding improvement and maintenance of certain annexed territory and approving an interlocal agreement relating to the same. This particular resolution has, well, in all, 18 years of history, but 14 years of city action history. It dates back to the city's 1998 annexation of parts of North and what is now North and West Starkville. When that annexation was undertaken, there were several roads that came in that were in a rather ambiguous state. Platting is not required to subdivide land in the county, and what often happens, had happened in some of the territories that we undertook in the 1998 annexation, that is a gravel or dirt road will be extended and a house will be added, and it will be extended again, another house will be added, and what started maybe as a single driveway or a shared driveway, over time has become a road. The problem for us that makes this difficult is, of course, our platting process is the process through which streets get dedicated to the city. We own the right of way and they become public so we can maintain them as public infrastructure. We've got a total of 5 roads, 4 that were recognized in the resolution that was passed in 2002 that really are functioning as public roads, but they are privately owned. And the board took action in 2002 with respect to 4 of those roads. I think it was an error, probably, that they left the 5th road out because it's in the same condition as the other 4. The 4 that are referenced in the 2002 resolution are Fannydale, Hendricks, Jesse, Treasure Lane, and Roundhouse Road. The action that the board took in 2002 was to declare that these are public roads with the condition that they had to be privately surveyed and deeded to the city. And here we are 14 years later, and that hasn't been done. The reason that hasn't been done is because it's a fairly tedious process that requires lots of cooperation of homeowners in an area, and any of you that have ever been to a neighborhood association know that is not always something that is possible. So where this issue has come to a head recently is I was contacted by President Traynor, president of the Octavia County Board of Supervisors. These roads are in his district, and he was seeking a way to find a way to make them passable. Because they've become extremely problematic for both school bus traffic and emergency service providers. What's happened over time, since these roads have been treated as private infrastructure that the city nor the county maintenance, is they don't have ditches that would be common on a county road, so that they drain. And much of the gravel has disintegrated and otherwise come off of the road. So you have roads that are holding water and further eroding in the center of the road because they're not properly draining, and they're becoming close to impassable and extremely problematic. So I asked the city attorney to put on his creative hat and find out if there was a way we could creatively address this situation so that at a minimum we can ensure that emergency service vehicles and school buses can access the houses on the road. And I also asked for Roundhouse to be included because it's in the same situation as the other 4 roads, and it makes no sense to me to address those 4 and not Roundhouse. And what he came back to me with was a slight modification to the 2002 order that hopefully will expedite the situation. That is, he believes rather than going through an entirely private process where you have to depend on mutual cooperation of homeowners and investment of homeowners into the process and wait for deeds to come into City Hall, which after 14 years I think it's fair to say is a process that's not working. He believes that we can go through and do the work because we have to have title to the property to maintain it as public infrastructure. To define what the public road is, and then offer quick claim deeds to the property owners that own the roadway. And hopefully, it's a much easier process for the homeowners if rather than saying, we need you to go out at your own time and expense and draw all these things up. If we come to the homeowners with quick claim deeds and say, if you sign the quick claim deed, we can begin maintaining the road in front of your house. And I think that will prove more effective than the route that we've been traveling. I do think it'll probably take some time. In addition to that, I've been working with President Traynor on a couple of issues. And the more I worked with him on this issue, I realized that it was essentially the same issue as a request we were fielding for the county regarding mosquito spraying. In the case of mosquito spraying, we have the equipment that is needed to provide some additional mosquito spraying in a 5-mile radius outside of the city. In the case of these roadways, the county has the equipment to provide the drainage ditches that need to be scraped on them and to provide the gravel because the county has gravel road equipment. So what we've worked up that is in tandem with this resolution is an interlocal agreement where we will share costs both for mosquito spraying and for maintaining these 5 roadways, 50-50. 50-50 for out-of-pocket costs, material and overtime that either of us incur. In our case, running mosquito spray in a 5-mile radius. In their case, maintaining these roadways. So the resolution is twofold. It provides a process which I think will allow us to expedite the actual functioning of these roads as public roads, and then it provides a cost and equipment sharing agreement on both the roadway maintenance and mosquito spraying with the county. Discussion. Alderman Mayor.
Mayor, I'm fully in favor of this. I think this resolves the issue that's been lingering for years. Has there been any discussion of cost between us and the city, or is that us and the county, or do we think the cost is going to be minimal? Just maintaining the roads as they are.
The cost estimate I have is it $40,000 total, Edward? So if that cost estimate held and we were splitting the cost 50-50, now it may include a little overtime in there that's not accounted for. So I would say in the event, because the way the interlocal agreement's drawn, we would pay them half of any overtime they incur, because that's out of pocket for them.
I move approval.
Okay. The motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi regarding improvement and maintenance of certain annexed territory and approving the same, and approving an interlocal agreement relating to the same as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion? Yes, sir. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion has been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits? Yes, sir. Any discussion?
I do have a question, and this may be more for you, City Attorney. There's no time limit or timeline in the resolution that I saw, and I know the county, and this is a road in the city, but I know that the county is clearly looking to pave roads that they don't have paved. Once this goes, if these roads were to go from gravel roads to paved road, how does that impact this resolution or this agreement?
You know, the way the resolution and agreement reads right now is the roads will be treated in the sole discretion of the city, how the city deems them to be treated. And so I understand that there may be, I don't want to use the phrase bare bones, but not doing full-blown maintenance first, just to get them drained, and maybe some chip sealing or just re-gravel. And so it would be up to the city over time if asphalt layers needed to be laid, and the same formula would apply, the 50-50 split.
So to make sure I'm clear, that the city, every time there's going to be something beyond this initial correction of the road, would that the city, whoever's sitting at these seats will have discretion on how they would like to proceed with this agreement?
Under the resolution, the city has sole discretion, and under the agreement, the county must agree with that discretion, or then it doesn't get done, because it's their gear.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Maynard's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter you have before you is the consideration of approval of Aflac as the administrator. Did I hear a motion? Motion has been made by Alderman Carver to approve of Aflac as the administrator of the City of Starkville Flexible Benefit Cafeteria Plan at no cost to the city or the employees of the City of Starkville, and authorization of the mayor and city clerk to execute necessary documents as presented. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter you have before you is the consideration of the adoption of a skills pay rate progression plan for the water distribution, new construction, rehab, sanitation, environmental services, and street departments. This proposal is something I presented late in the budget process last year. It has been refined slightly since last year, but it's substantially the same thing as what you saw last year, and it's something that our department heads have been working collectively on for about the last 18 months. And it's designed to address two major objectives that they came to me and at the time Chief Administrative Officer Taylor Adams with about a year and a half ago. And that is, as the economy has picked up locally, we are hemorrhaging skills in our workforce. And it's because our most skilled workers are finding opportunities at higher pay in doing private sector work. And additionally, we are having major issues filling positions that require the most skill and the most experience in our organization. So one of the objectives of this program is throughout our ranks to get our pay in the positions that require those skills up to a level where we are competing in the market to be able to hire and retain people with those skills. It's also intended to be an incentive program so that we are growing skills within our ranks. Ideally, from the time we hire somebody into a maintenance worker or labor position, they should be furthering skills. They should be gaining commercial driver's licenses, learning how to operate equipment, and ultimately demonstrating administrative knowledge and skills through the work keys test, which is the industry standard now. So what you have here is a plan that has been tediously discussed and worked up by those department heads working together as a team. I'm actually quite proud of the work they've done together as a team, because each department views things a little bit differently, and to get them to come together and recognize this is a common issue that they have and create a policy that they believe can address it for all of them, I think is outstanding work. So the first 6 steps of advancement, maintenance worker 1, maintenance worker 2, maintenance worker 3, and then equipment operator 1, equipment operator 2, and equipment operator 3 or foreman trainee. Those are steps that somebody will have the opportunity to move through without a position being open. Now, beyond that, when you get to the foreman level positions, there will have to be a foreman position that is open. But the idea is we should be creating a pool of applicants within our workforce, because somebody that's an EO3 or a foreman trainee possesses the requisite skills to move into a foreman role. And so hopefully by providing pay incentives to go and get those skills while they work for us, we're going to increase the internal applicant pool for those top slots as they come open as well. Now, to explain those first 6 advancement steps, the first 3, maintenance worker 1, maintenance worker 2, maintenance worker 3, our employees in their probationary period, if they're doing everything they're supposed to do to complete their probationary period, they should make it from maintenance worker 1 to maintenance worker 3. And that takes them from a total of, I believe it's $10 an hour to $10.50, or is that correct? Or no? Okay. So that would take them in their first year, by the end of their first year, if they've done everything they're supposed to do to get through their probationary period, they'd be at $10.50. Now, that's when it begins to get harder, and the pay steps up rather dramatically at that point. In order to move from maintenance worker 3 to equipment operator, they have to begin demonstrating objective skills. The most significant skill somebody would have to demonstrate to become an equipment operator 1 is they would have to obtain a Class B driver's license, which, from discussing it with our department heads, that and demonstrating that they can operate some of the equipment in the department makes the versatility of that employee much more significant. Because right now all of them are limited as to the number of people that can drive or operate the equipment of their department. Now, as a result of that, the pay steps up at that point from $10.50 an hour to $12.50 an hour. So there is an incentive and a motivation for employees that want to move up to go out and do that. Once they've obtained their Class A and they've had 12 months of experience as an equipment operator 1, they can become an equipment operator 2. Because once they have a Class A license, they can drive anything in the department and have become even more valuable to the department at that point. So they would be paid $14 an hour. And finally, they would have an opportunity to move to equipment operator 3 by continuing to demonstrate those skills and attaining a silver on the work keys at that point, which step up to $15.50 an hour, and at that point possesses the skills and ability when the foreman positions open up where they would be competitive applicants for that position. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a skills ladder within our workforce. And we try to do that now, but the reality is when there is no pay incentive for somebody to gain those skills, we're not finding that enough of our employees are going out there and gaining those skills. And far too often, when our employees are taking the initiative and going and gaining those skills, they're finding that there are better paying opportunities elsewhere once they've gained those skills. So we hope that this will address those issues. Last year, I think all of you probably agreed with that as a philosophy. The issue was it came late in the budget process and it cost too much without rearranging things rather dramatically in the budget. we couldn't put it in the budget. So I've worked hard with Alderman Maynard this year to make sure that we were accounting for this in our budgetary process. The cost of this program, now we'll get to fire in a second, it's a little more difficult program to grapple with. The cost of this program, the general fund, is approximately $25,000. That is in your draft of the general budget that you have. It'll be approximately $40,000 to water, approximately $75,000 to sanitation. Both of those directors know, and they have budget drafts that account for those costs, and they know they must account for those costs without a rate increase. So without expending any additional rates, fees, or taxes on this, these are in your budget and can be funded. Now, I have asked the budget chair and the city clerk not to go ahead and put them in the actual salary lines and the benefit lines until you've adopted this policy, because it's too difficult to take out. So what you have is you have a holding place in your budget that accounts for the total dollar amount. In the event that you adopt this, they will then begin the process of coding those to the appropriate salary lines in the budget. But it will not alter your budget to have to do that. Discussion. Alderman Maynard.
Mayor, I move approval of this. This is something that when I came into the office 3 years ago, I wanted to see us put together a plan of progression for our city employees. It's not so much about the pay, although the pay is addressed in this. It's more about an opportunity for people to seek training and successfully complete that training and then be rewarded for completing that training. It's also a way for us to establish internally a pool of qualified candidates that can move forward into positions of higher authority that we're struggling with right now. So I'm excited about that, and with that I move approval of the proposed skills pay progression plan for utilities, sanitation, and environmental services.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to adopt the skills pay rate progression plan for the water distribution, new construction, rehab, sanitation, environmental services, and street departments as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Alderman Little.
This will be effective when?
Effective October 1st. Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderman Ball.
I just, when we do this, I just hope we be fair about the process, the way we do the process, and be fair. That's all I do. Be sure that we do it the right way and be fair.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter that you have before you is the consideration of the adoption of a skills pay rate progression plan or internal inequity adjustments proposed by the fire department. Well, hold on, you got two options here. Let me describe it to you. All right, so this one is a little more complicated because it costs the most and it's the most problematic for the budget. So last year, we weren't able to do this because we weren't able to make the budget. Anticipating that might be a problem again this year because the fire portion alone of this costs about $120,000 to the budget. And that is at the point where it becomes a difficult number for the budget to swallow. So anticipating that and anticipating it was going to be a difficult conversation from a budgetary standpoint, I asked the chief about a month and a half ago for a fallback position. I said, Chief, if we're able to get this put in the budget, are there issues that could address your most pressing needs? And what he responded with was a series of internal inequity adjustments. The $10 an hour piece, which you've already approved to take effect July 1st, will affect the fire department more than any other department. because you have 22 firefighters right now that are under $10 an hour. And firefighters are also on a standard $29.90 work year rather than a $20.80 work year. So that is a substantial step forward. But the chief said it's only going to exacerbate my issues I've got going up the ranks, where through the way our promotion process works over time, he's got some people that are sharing the same rank as other people and are paid significantly less. In some cases, even outpaid by people that they outrank. So the fallback position costs approximately $23,000, and it addresses those positions. It addresses a battalion chief. It addresses a captain. It addresses 2 captains, a lieutenant, a sergeant, and hold on, let me use this chart. A battalion chief, 2 captains, a lieutenant, a sergeant,
second lieutenant,
another sergeant, and the 3 shift training officers. You have 1 training officer right now. 3 training officers aren't receiving any additional compensation. So that's approximately $23,000, including benefits. That fits in your budget. It's not an issue, and at a minimum, I would encourage you to adopt it. Now, in having a conversation with Alderman Maynard about this, I think Alderman Maynard has an avenue where we might be able to get the progression plan in the budget this year, starting on April 1st. Now, Chief, am I correct, if they adopt the full progression plan, the internal inequity adjustments are picked up through the progression plan? They don't need to budget for the internal inequity adjustments and the progression plan? No. Okay. So you've already taken about $30,000 out of the $120,000 by moving to the $10 an hour standard. Now, it's not going to cost you $30,000 this year because you don't start it until July 1st. So you're at approximately $90,000 to $100,000 for a year of funding the progression plan. That means if you started it mid-year, April 1st, you would be at $45,000 to $50,000 to fund the plan. And in having discussions with Alderman Maynard, I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him explain it. I think he believes that's possible without making major changes to your budget, starting it on April 1st. Alderman Maynard, would you like to explain that yourself?
Yes, sir. I appreciate all the firemen that reached out and talked to us and contacted us. Appreciate Chief for diligently putting this together. In staring down the $100,000 mark, I knew there was no way we could do that. We debated back and forth about just doing the internal 23 and letting July 1st $10 progression, or $10 per hour, take care of that. Again, that didn't necessarily seem fair either. So as we really started delving into the budget, we could do the whole thing and afford it in this budget, but we need to wait till April 1st for this year to get it built in. Once it's in, then it's the whole progression plan. It's in for every one of you guys that are out there, and moving forward, it'll be there. And I think it addresses the same issues that sanitation and water and utilities have all faced as well. I think this gives us a clear path of progression for all your men. So, Mayor, with that, I would move approval of that option beginning April 1 of 2017.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the skills pay rate progression plan as presented, effective April 1st, 2017. The skills pay rate progression plan for the fire department as presented April 1st, 2017. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the merits?
Been a long time coming for you guys. Appreciate all your patience over the years. Thank you.
Alderman Nguyen.
Chief Yarborough, I've used my voice, told our community that our firemen weren't making $10 an hour. It resonated everywhere. When I went to the grocery store, people would stop me. When I was out eating, people would stop me. I was bound and determined that our community needed to know this. And I'm so happy tonight that we're getting something done somewhere, because I believed in you and I believed in your department like I believe in all of the employees for our city. So I hope that this will pass tonight, and I say congratulations for your work that you've done on this. Mayor, I yield the floor.
Alderman Walker.
Again, I thank you all for all your hard work. I do have a serious question, I think, is if we adopt this tonight and it takes place starting April 1 of 2017, and then the $10 an hour takes effect 3 months later, how does that impact those 3 months?
That's a good question. It won't, I don't think. I've got to go back and look, but I think with going in the progression plan April 1, the majority of that $10 an hour adjustments will be absorbed on April 1.
So that would be my question. Overall, everybody else, the $10 an hour will take place on July 1. But for the firemen, if this progression plan is adopted on April 1, they would get that $10 an hour starting April 1. Is that correct?
That is correct. For anybody that's
Below
under
that threshold.
$10 an hour at that point in time, that would take effect July 1.
That would take effect July 1.
If they're under $10 an hour.
So what is the April 1? So everybody who's less than $10, they got to wait 3 months before they get that. 22 people.
Will immediately go April 1. The
Gotcha.
minimum will be $10 an hour.
Fire's April 1. Everybody else is July 1.
Once you get fire out of the way, that's 90%.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
And it's on the policy that you adopted for street, sanitation, utilities, that they're going to remain at $9.43, which is the current minimum until July 1. So starting July 1, we won't hire anybody at lower than $9.43. Now the reality is we have very few employees in any of those departments who have been here less than 6 months. So you're not going to have many maintenance worker ones. Most of them are in sanitation, street, and utilities. You might have one or two. You might not have any. They'll all come in as MW2s or MW3s. Remember, in that system, if you've done everything through your 6 months, through the first 6 months of your probation period, you're going to be an MW2. And if you've done everything you're supposed to through the second 6 months of your probationary period, you're going to be an MW3.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Thank you, Chief. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of authorizing the Stennis Institute of Government to perform a staffing study. It's been 4 years since we did a comprehensive staffing study evaluating both internal and external inequities. And the reality is, over time, internal and external inequities get out of balance. And I believe the time has come for us to spend the next year doing a comprehensive staffing study so that we'll be in position, but just like we were 4 years ago when a new term and a new budget starts on July 1st, information will be available to know where we should be targeting pay adjustments throughout our ranks to address internal and external inequity issues.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Motion has been made by Alderman Perkins to approve of authorizing the Stennis Institute of Government to perform a staffing study as presented. Alderman Perkins, that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Perkins, you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter before you is discussion and consideration of an amendment to the engineering services proposal with Neil Schaefer, by $35,664 for additional services related to permit renewal. Alderman Maynard?
Yes, Mayor, this is part of what we addressed last meeting, that this is just the next phase of us getting our permit for the Class 1 rubbish landfill. The city attorney has looked at this amendment and approved it, so therefore I make a motion to approve and accept, Mayor.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve an amendment to the engineering services proposal with Neil Schaefer by $35,664 for additional services related to permit renewal for the Starkville, Oktibbeha County Class 1 rubbish landfill with a total project cost of $58,792 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. And now, without objection, we've been here about an hour and a half. I'm going to take us into a brief recess. Without objection, let's stand at brief recess. Meeting will now come back to order. The next matter before you is the consideration of approval. Did I hear a motion from Alderman Little? Alderman Little's made a motion to approve of readdressing 1573, 1577, 1577A, 1575, 1579, and 1575B Rock Hill Road to Geechee Road addresses as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter before you is a public hearing and the consideration of approval of a variance request, VA 1605, for relief from required setback for a proposed cell tower. Mr. Sanders, would you like to introduce?
Yes, sir. Capital GST Capital Partners LLC is proposing a 150-foot cellular communications tower located off of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or commonly known as Highway 182, near Starkville substation. This is Ms. Corbin's first case from application to this stage, and she will go over the details of the case.
This is a request by GST Capital Partners LLC for relief from 2 setback requirements for a proposed wireless communication tower in a C2 zone located at 602.5 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive with the parcel number 118N-0097.03. 16 properties were notified directly by mail of this request. The variance request was noticed in the Starkville Daily News on July 11th, 2016, and we have received 1 letter for and 1 letter against the request. On July 27th, the Board of Adjustments and Appeals recommended approval of 2 variance requests. The first variance request is to grant a 250-foot setback distance in lieu of the required 300-foot setback distance adjacent to a residential property. The second variance request is to allow a 380-foot radius in lieu of the required 2,640-foot radius from a residential district. The property to the north of the subject property is zone C2 and is currently used as a church. The property to the east and south are zone C2 and are currently used as single family. The properties to the west are zone C2 and R5 and are currently used as a mini storage facility and multifamily housing.
Questions or comments from the members of the board? Any? Alderman Little?
Those two, you said you had 1 in favor and 1 against. Were
Right.
those 2 properties, those 2 homes, right there on 182?
The one for the request is the property directly to the south of the subject,
Yeah, 4 is this property.
and then against is
this property.
to the east.
Can you show me about where that tower's supposed to be there?
It's in the middle of this square.
Okay.
That
And
The very.
code calls for what, 2,600 feet roughly from a residential?
From a
district?
actual residential structure, it is, 300.
In this case, it would be 300, it's twice the height of the
To
tower.
show them the structure, that's actually the variances from. That right there is the 250 in lieu of the 300 foot. So there's a 50 foot.
All right, and you mentioned the 2,600 or something, is that to a residential
It's
district?
2,640.
And dropping it down to what?
It is down to 380 plus or minus.
As you can see, even though the property from the two letters are for and against are residential in use, they are actually zoned C2 commercial. The closest residential property is this right here, the light pink, which I believe is an R5.
Yes, that's correct, it is R5 district.
And its use is actually multifamily with a substation, in a substation.
So, Mr. Haviland, just to be clear, the pink use is the use that counts as far as the
For the second.
2,640
request. Correct.
residential district
The
requirement.
first request is from the distance to that residential structure.
Gotcha.
Alderman Walker.
I know that over the years we've had from planning and zoning that we've had a number of requests from cell towers looking at needing to seek a variance. The question I have is our standard, is our ordinance, does it exceed the industry standard, or is it pretty similar to what the industry standard would be? I can't imagine that it's in many circumstances where these days where you're not going to have a cell tower within 3,000 feet of where people are living. So just how does our ordinance stack up with what the industry standard is in these matters, and do we have that data?
Well, the ordinance was adopted in 2001, and back in around that time when the ordinance was adopted, cellular phones were pretty much used for voice communications. There were still a lot of wire lines used in homes. Since that time, a lot of people have abandoned wireline phone systems to their homes. And also the use of data, wireless data has gone up tremendously. So the need for additional capacity is generally handled by multiple sites. Typically, there's more desire from municipalities for those facilities to be located on a water tower or a taller building to serve the area. And in the packet, the applicant is stating that there is none within a half mile radius.
And so I appreciate that, but I guess my question is there an industry standard that says it's within 1,000 feet or 500 feet, and does our ordinance exceed that? And if we don't know the answer to that, that's fine. I don't know that there is an industry standard.
Well, there
I was
is
curious
no-
to see if it's, because of the number of variances that have sought over the years on this, it may mean that, one, our ordinance is maybe too strict, or it's doing exactly what it needs to do, and I just don't know the answer to that.
Well, I don't know if you can answer that question just directly, in that it depends upon population densities and also use density. What is the network capacity? How much traffic is going by a certain area? The more people you have, the more capacity you're going to need.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments from the members of the board? Alderman Vaughn.
I was waiting on him to give me my answer about what, how many municipalities requires it in their ordinance. Their ordinance, it varies with ours, but you never give them an answer. But till now, I make a motion, Mr. Mayor. I move to deny the VA 16.
Alderman Vaughn, I gotta have the public hearing before I can take a motion. Any further questions or comments from the board before I hear comments from the public? All right, at this time, any member of the public wishing to make comments on this matter may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Mayor, members of the board, good evening. My name is James Peavy. I'm an attorney from Ridgeland, Mississippi. I represent the applicant, GST Capital Partners, also known as Gulf South Towers. This matter is related to the next matter on your agenda, which is the request for a conditional use. My client needs two approvals from the city, the approval of the variances and approval of the conditional use to put the wireless tower in a C2 district. That is an allowable use in C2, but it does require a conditional use. Several of the wireless tower companies now operating in Starkville have gaps in their service. AT&T, Verizon, and C-Spire have all have told my client they need another tower on which they can put their antennas to provide appropriate service in Starkville. If this is approved, those three companies and possible a fourth company will put their antennas on this 150-foot high monopole tower, which will be constructed at a cost of approximately $200,000. The Board of Adjustments and Appeals has recommended approval of the variance. Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended approval of the conditional use. Nobody has appealed any of these recommendations. As has been stated, there was one citizen of Starkville who lives on commercial property to the southeast who wrote a letter in opposition, but there is no neighborhood opposition as such. The subject property here is heavily wooded. This tower will be built in the midst of mature trees that are 65 to 75 feet high. The city's electrical substation is a short distance to the west, so we're trying to put an additional commercial utility use next to an existing utility use. It would be hard to find a site in a growing city like Starkville that's more appropriate for a wireless tower than this one. These companies that I mentioned do have a gap in their service, and with cell phone usage becoming increasingly popular, a lot of people now use cell phones to call the police department, the fire department, to call an ambulance if there's an emergency situation. With these existing gaps, those type calls may be dropped. And so building this wireless tower will serve a very major public health and safety function. My client, Gulf South Towers, is experienced in building towers. It's built them all over the country, including in several places in Mississippi, Macon, Eupora Equipment, Vicksburg, Gulfport, and Hellspawn. So we respectfully request that you recommend approval, or that you grant approval of both the requested variances and the conditional use being the next matter on the agenda. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pete. Further comments?
Good evening to me and woman. My name is Alvin Turner. The citizens is always on NACP and the public safety of protecting them. They would like some industry jobs to come to the city. We have a lot of this type. We got done in when they were digging up and did not want any liability. We got to start back to listen to the voice of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. Further comment?
This is Guy T. Smith, Executive Vice President for Operations for Gulf South Towers.
I want to apologize for my voice, first of all, fighting a cold. But the one issue I think Mr. Pete also brought up, the issue that started all this, the need out here was for the hospital to the north, and then the in-building coverage, which I believe in your packet you have the coverage map. Drop calls and hard to make calls inside a building because of the density of your coverage area. As you can see, your in-building coverage is in the green. I think this is all, and where you have the blue, you don't have in-building coverage penetration. So they're having a hard time dropping calls and making calls in all the residential areas and also with the hospital. And so that was a lot of the coverage needs that first started the process of getting all this going. So I just kind of want y'all to know the factors that brought it all together. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on anything else.
Thank you. Any further comment? Any further comment? Any further comment? Seeing none, Alderman Vaughn, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to say something to the lawyer attorney. I received phone calls. You probably didn't get no letters. I saw one letter, but I received phone calls. Move to deny the VA 605 on the finding that this tower will be contrary to the public interest, that no special condition exists that justify a variance, and that a literal enforcement of this city ordinance would not result in unnecessary hardship.
City attorney's asked to be recognized.
So Alderman Vaughn, just to be clear, your motion takes into consideration the letter of objection in the board packet and also the calls you received on this matter?
Yes, sir.
And is it your opinion that the applicant has failed to survive the four-factor criteria for a variance listed on page 3 of your packet?
Yes, sir.
And Alderman Vaughn, have you reduced that motion to writing?
Yes, sir.
And it's been placed with the city clerk without objection. I will not ask for it to be reread. Seeing no objection, do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merit?
No, sir.
Discussion. Alderman Carter.
Can you read that motion one more time?
It is a motion to deny VA 1605 on finding that this tower will be contrary to public interest, that no special conditions exist that justify a variance, and that a literal enforcement of the city's ordinance will not result in unnecessary hardship.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderman Little.
I'd just like to say it's, as we sit here, sometimes it's hard to evaluate the public need versus what folks want to live with in their backyard. And I haven't gotten those calls. That's Alderman Vaughn's ward, and I trust if he's gotten those calls that it's a legitimate and valid concern. And I would have to go along with this and support you in that measure, being that it is in your ward, and I'll support you on that. I yield the floor.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Alderman Vaughn's motion for denial, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 5 in favor and 2 against, the motion passes. Do I still need to go to the conditional use, or is it moot because we didn't have a variance?
I think it's moot, because the 2 conditions were needed.
Correct. All right, so per the advice of the city attorney, the conditional use has been rendered moot by the variance, because you have to have the variance to get to the conditional use. The next matter before you is a public hearing and consideration of the rezoning request RZ 1607 for a portion of lot number 1 of Bay Meadow subdivision located on Rose Perkins Evans Drive, a split zone of R1C1 to B1 with the property 117-00-145.
So moved.
We gotta have a public hearing.
Public hearing?
All right, since we've got a motion, I'll just ask if there's any comment on this matter. Is there anyone here wishing to comment on that matter? Anyone here wishing to comment on that matter? Anyone wishing to comment? City attorney, is it now eligible for adoption?
It is.
All right, Alderman Walker, proceed with your motion.
So moved. Make a motion to rezone the split property from R1C1 to B1 within property 117C-00-145.
Motion has been made by Alderman Walker to approve the rezoning request RZ 1607 for a portion of lot number 1 of Bay Meadow subdivision located on Rose Perkins Evans Drive from a split zone of R1C1 to B1 with the property number 117C-00-145.00 as presented. Alderman Walker, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Walker, you wish to speak on the merits?
No.
And the city attorney has asked to be recognized.
Your motion based on a finding of error?
I would say with a split zone like that is clearly, seems like a scrivener's error.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter before you is the consideration of reapproval of the preliminary plat request by Frank Jones Construction for Country Club Estates final phase 85, final phase. Alderman Little.
I would move approval with the addition of condition number 6. Applicant shall receive infrastructure plan approval from city engineer prior to commencement of construction. Infrastructure plan should include all required improvements for phase 3, including an extension of the storm drainage system from the intersection of Turnbull Lane and Royal Troon Drive to the receiving stream located to the south property line of the subdivision. A pre-construction conference shall be held with the appropriate city staff prior to the commencement of any construction activities at the site.
Motion has been made, it's been read and reduced to writing. City clerk has a copy of the writing without objection. I will not ask for it to be reread. Seeing none, do I hear a second? Second. Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Discussion. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, did I get a second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a consideration of approval of travel and training for Jeff Lyles to attend the Mississippi Association of Code Enforcement Education.
Skip one.
Oh, we sure did. Consideration of adding a 5% fee to all applications permits in the Community Development Department to pay for technology and training. Mr. St. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of a 5% fee to all applications and permits in the Community Development Department to pay for technology and training beginning October 1st, 2016 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion? Yes, sir. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the merits? No. Any discussion? Any discussion? Alderman Lewis.
Could you tell us a little bit about, I conferred with you earlier today, could you tell us a little bit about the program? What sort of fees do you anticipate generating on an annual basis, and how much should one project would this generate? How much is it going to impact the developer, I guess?
Sure, it just depends on, one, how much development activity this city has and the cost of that development. For example, if a building permit is $100, a fee of $5 would be assessed and would go to a line item to pay for technology items and ultimately, hopefully, training. For example, I am desiring, I will be coming to the board for consideration of software in which will be used to manage the Community Development Department as far as applications, approvals, permits, online applications and payments of applications, reviewed by staff members from their desks so they can essentially approve a project instead of coming up to City Hall and signing off. Also allow the applicant to see the process, where it is, what's lacking, what needs to be addressed. It'll also serve as a communication tool, so everyone knows exactly what's taking place. Anyone from the general public can run the numbers just like I can to see what kind of permits have been issued. And the cost of that software is about $9,000 a year. So this would just be a way of paying for technology items such as IQ Works.
And would this money collected be put into a separate line item?
A separate line item every month. So if we, so every month that 5% would go to that line item to pay for technology items. And just to give you an example, fiscal year 2015, $185,551.50 was collected in permit fees and application fees, and 5% of that amount is $9,277.58.
Alderman Vaughn.
How does your permits vary with other municipalities? Are ours off or lower or higher?
Our fees?
Yeah.
Our fees hasn't been updated in some time. Our fees are assessed by a percentage of the value of the construction project. So it just depends on the cost of the projects. But there has not been any increase in fees, to my knowledge, since before Ben Griffith was city planner. So our fees are very reasonable.
Further discussion. Alderman Wynn.
Mr. Sanders, I call you today. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this is for applications and permits. This is not for construction costs.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you so much.
No, that would be
Enormous.
excessive.
I called you about that. Thank you. I yield the floor at this time.
Further discussion. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Alderman Maynard's motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. The next matter before you is
Move approval.
Motion's been made by Alderman Little to approve of travel and training for Jeff Lyles to attend the Mississippi Association of Code Enforcement Educational Conference in Gulfport, Mississippi, with a cost not to exceed $400 as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Little, you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is a consideration of calling a public hearing to determine whether property is located on several tax parcels on North Montgomery Street are a menace to public health, safety, and welfare.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Motion has been made by Alderman Perkins to call for a public hearing to determine whether property is located on tax parcels 117E-00-022.00, 117E-00-023.00, 117E-00-024.00, 117E-00-025.00, 117E-00-026.00, 117E-0-0.027.00, 117E-00-029.00, 117E-00-028.01, 117E-00-028.02, and 117E-00-028.00 on the North Montgomery Street are a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 21-19-11 as presented. Alderman Perkins, that's your motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Perkins, who wishes to speak on the matter?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter you have before you is a request for approval.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to approve of rejecting the previous quote from Welding Works and accept the quote from Brownstone Construction in the amount of $9,134 for the Holtzinger Cold Curb and Gutter project to be paid for Ward 4 discretionary funds and authorization for the mayor to execute a construction contract with a time not to exceed 20 days from the issuance of a notice to proceed as presented. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Walker. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is a request for approval of change order.
Move
number-
approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Nguyen to approve of change order number 1 for Hester Fencing Construction for the North Jackson Street Sidewalk Project, increasing the contract time from 20 calendar days to 34 calendar days as presented. Alderman Nguyen, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Nguyen, do you wish to speak on the
No, I
matter?
do not.
Any discussion? Alderman Maynard.
Mr. Kim, you can stay right there. When is this to be completed? Is it September 12th, according to the email in our packet?
I believe that's right.
That's 7 days from today. Thank you, Mr. Kemp. No further.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 6 in favor, with 1 against, motion carries passes. Next matter on the agenda is.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the declaration of the 2002 Kubota mini excavator, SN 20294 as surplus with authorization to advertise on GovDeals and remove from the city's inventory as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda, motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of declaring the quote from Thompson Machinery for a mini excavator as the best quote based on, somebody read me those factors. I don't have them in front of me. There were 3 reasons stated.
That part of the thing there.
Just give them, I'll read it.
Right.
There we go. All right, start from the top. It is a motion to declare the quote from Thompson Machinery for a mini excavator as the best quote because it has a higher weight, longer reach, and more horsepower than the other quotes, and authorizing the purchase of said mini excavator for $49,904.73 for the street department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for approval to accept the low quote.
moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of accepting the low quote from CDW.com in the amount of $5,995 for the HP DesignJet T830 multifunction plotter to be shared by the Engineering and Community Development Departments as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to replace a concrete flume. Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to approve of replacing a concrete flume at the intersection of Plum Road and Cottonwood Street at a cost not to exceed $4,500 with the funding for this project to come from Ward 1 discretionary funds as presented. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is
Move
request.
approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of installing a speed table on West Main Street between Meigs and Ames Street as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, may we recognize briefly? Mr. Kemp, this would be something similar like on Hawaii, something of magnitude to get that traffic slow going down the hill very quickly. Don't spend much time on it.
Yes, sir. I would propose it be more of a speed table instead of a speed bump.
Is that a table that, is that
Similar to
consistent?
Hawaii.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval of the claims docket.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments, including the Starkville Utilities Department as of August 31st, 2016, for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2016. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. By a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, the motion passes. Next matter on the agenda is a request for approval for Ashley Wigglesworth.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn.
Maynard.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of Ashley Wigglesworth and LaShonda Wilson to attend the Fall Clerk Certification Training in Pearl, Mississippi and Oxford, Mississippi, not to exceed $710 per person from September 21st through 23rd, 2016, and October 26th through 28th, 2016, as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to allow.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of allowing Sergeant Matthew Schober to attend the Dive and Rescue International Instructor Course in Panama City, Florida, at a cost of $4,500.33 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Walker. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Chief, you want to talk briefly about the high cost of this and what we're getting for it and what he's going to be able to do when he comes back?
Yes, sir. I know it's a high cost, but we have 9 people who are scheduled to go to a course, dive course. It's $1,050 a person. We can send him, he can come back and teach, not only them, but whoever else that want to take the course in the city. In addition to that, he also helped recertify the ones that been.
So by sending him at this cost, he can come back and train 9 divers for the fire department plus additional people in the city.
And also the county, if we want to go open that up, so.
Very good. Maybe we can charge the county and get some of our money back. There you go. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted Chief to explain that to everybody.
That's it.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for approval to purchase.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the purchase of firefighter turnout gear from NAVCO at a cost of $14,972.65 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve of accepting the low quote from Brownstone Construction in the amount of $20,700 for the Fire Station 4 repairs as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval for William Pocup to attend.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Walker to approve of William Pocup attending the National Alliance for Youth Sports, November 15th through 19th in Orlando, Florida, with advanced travel not to exceed $1,600 as presented. Alderman Walker, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Walker, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval to.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of hiring Alexander Nash as a radio operator records clerk in the Starkville Police Department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Alexandria Nash, yes.
Did I not say that?
You said Alex.
Oh.
I thought you said Alexander, but that's all right.
Oh, I might have. Alexander Nash. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval.
So moved.
Alderman Maynard has made a motion to approve of hiring Shonda Lachey Deloach as the accreditation manager, records clerk in the Starkville Police Department, subject to a 6-month probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to approve of hiring James Apple and Dylan Sternbowers to fill the full-time police officer position in the police department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Alderman.
Chief, we have a couple more police left us again.
We have the position of the assistant chief. We have to fill, and we had one officer to go to Afghanistan to make a lot more money. We had one to resign, and we had the temporary position that I got approved several months ago from the officer that's deployed right now to Afghanistan. So one of these officers here will be on a temporary position unless we have another full-time position come open.
Which one officer resigned?
Nathan George.
Thank you, Chief.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to, motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the hire of Felicia Jefferson as the certified radio operator's records clerk in the Starkville Police Department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Skip one. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to hire Garrett Peters Mitten.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the hire of Garrett Peters Mitten as full-time certified police officer and to hire Howard Spann as full-time temporary certified police officer in the Starkville Police Department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of advertising for a full-time temporary help desk administrator position in the Information Technology Department. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion is seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Yes, sir. Stephanie, this is because somebody got deployed, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval of advertising.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of advertising for the vacant positions of firefighters in the fire department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Walker. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval to hire Randall Criswell.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Walker to approve of the hire of Randall Criswell as an apprentice 3 lineman in the Starkville Utilities Department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Walker, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Walker, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval to advertise. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of advertising for a position of lead line foreman in the Starkville Electric Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda, I lost my place. Where's the next one?
Number 10, so moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of advertising the building inspector position on the International Code Council, Clarion Ledger, and Commercial Appeal websites for approximately 2 weeks as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Yes, sir. Buddy, do you think it's worth advertising in those newspapers?
I was approached by the administrative assistant for the personnel department after I had done the cover sheet, and she informed me that essentially the place those ads in the commercial appeal, and also the clear letter would be probably between $1,500 and $2,000. That seems a bit excessive. However, I do feel that the International Code Council website would be the appropriate website to advertise for position.
Mayor, I think I would edit my motion to request approval to advertise in the building inspector position on the International Code Council website for approximately 2 weeks, and let's see what kind of draw we get first.
Without objection, the motion will stand at a motion to approve the advertisement of the building code inspection position on the International Code Council website for approximately 2 weeks. Any objections? Seeing none, that is how the motion now reads. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is a request. The motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the hire of Theodis Weaver as a maintenance worker in the street department, subject to a 6-month probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for approval to hire Byron. Alderman Maynard's made a motion to hire Byron Bishop as a maintenance worker in the street department, subject to a 1-year probationary period as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits? No. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to advertise to fill the vacant. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the advertisement to fill the vacant position of laborer in the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for
So
approval.
moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the advertisement to fill positions for an equipment operator at the landfill division of Sanitation and Environmental Services as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for approval to advertise to fill the vacant position of a street sweep. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of advertising to fill the vacant position of street sweeper in the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for, motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the advertisement to fill the vacant position of driver in the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is request for approval to
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the advertisement to fill the vacant position of maintenance worker in the landscape division of the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is a request for approval to hire temporary full-time laborers, maintenance workers, and drivers in the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. I didn't even mean to do that.
All right.
Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
Yeah, Miss Gandy, how many, this doesn't have a number. Yes, laborers, maintenance workers, and drivers, temporary.
Labor position is the one that you just filled with Mr. Weaver going to the street department. And the maintenance worker position is one, and then the driver would be for the sweeper.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. Next matter on the agenda is discussing.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to accept a firehouse sub public safety foundation grant for an automated external defibrillator to be purchased by Firehouse Subs and donated to the Starkville Police Department as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for authorization.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to authorize Starkville Utilities to accept the low quote and purchase Trimble G07 series centimeter kit, associated software support and online training from Navigation Electronics Incorporated, the sole authorized Trimble mapping GIS dealer for the state of Mississippi, in the amount of $16,400 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to authorize Starkville Utilities to accept the lowest and best quote and purchase a Cisco 3850X switch from Garner Computer Services for $7,000 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is request for approval of the resale.
Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the resale rate schedule substitution agreement with TVA effective October 1st, 2016 as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits?
And Terry, would you introduce this and give us just a brief synopsis?
Yeah, brief.
This recently, the PDA board actually moved forward with the rate adjustment that they look at each year. That amounted to about 2.45%. that's in the packet on our wholesale rate. As a part of that, what we're asking for is to make a small rate change on our side, because there's two components. There's a fixed cost, there's a variable cost. One covers our metering, our customer charge in that order. We are, part of this package would be to requesting to increase the customer charge by $1, but we offset that increase with a reduction in our kilowatt hour cost. So actually, if you looked at for its impact on customers, that basically is a wash. So from our standpoint on the utility, we'd be having zero from a net increase in that.
Thank you.
And then one other issue as a part of that, what we're also proposing this year is being able to absorb that percentage that TVA is pushing. Here again, helping control our cost and minimizing the impact on all of our electric customers.
Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Let's do that again. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right, I have 6 in favor and Perkins casting the lone dissenting vote. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of Terry Kemp traveling to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Murfreesboro, Tennessee for TV, PPA, and 7 state PC board and committee meetings as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes.
Motion to go into closed session.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to go into closed session to determine whether there's a need for an executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. At this time, I'll ask the public to vacate the premises so the board can begin executive session can begin closed session deliberations to determine whether there's a need to go into executive session. And board, I need a brief recess without objection.